When I'd first watched 5 centimeters per second, I initially didn't know what to think. I'd no strong opinion on it. It was unlike anything else I'd experienced. I left it a few days and decided to watch it again out of desire to finally garner an opinion on it. 5 centimeters per second is a 2007 hour-long film directed by Makoto Shinkai and produced by Comics-Wave Films. This story follows Takaki, a young boy who has a strong connection with Akari, a girl in the same elementary school as him. It starts with them as young children and predominantly shows Takaki's perspective through 3 separate chapters starting from that point, continuing to adolescence, and finally adulthood. Each chapter has a different focus varying from unrequited love to the struggles of seeing a loved one. The focus of the story isn't why they love each other, but why they can't. It all blends together to show a story about 2 individuals that love one another but can't due to factors out of their control, and how these factors can change who we are as people. A lot of the story is told through voiceovers from different characters, meaning that character interactions are memorable. The story of 5 centimeters per second is simple yet effective throughout its execution. The themes told are mature and are given the attention required. These are timeless messages that will never deteriorate, and I'm glad that they were delivered clearly and without fault. I believe that anyone can relate to this story, and I enjoyed how it was split into 3 chapters, so as an audience we can see the progression of Takaki. And it also helped with addressing some of the main themes. Even though it's only an hour long, which doesn't seem like much, the pace is quite slow, so by the end it feels like an hour and a half. The story is different, enjoyable, and focused, offering a variety of emotions and stellar artwork. But it would only be half the film if it didn't have a strong cast, which it does. The cast is pretty small, focusing on 3 main characters, with a few side characters thrown in. Takaki is a good protagonist. He's kind, thoughtful, and human. His progression of a simple child to something much darker is an intriguing one, even though he can be a bit dull and generic at points. This is mainly because Takaki doesn't belong to your average anime stereotype. He's human, and acts like one. His love interest and secondary character, Akari, follows a similar pattern. She's kind and innocent in her youth and progresses when older. Finally, there's Kane, a friend of Takaki who also loves him. She sees all of the similarities between the two, and her pure determination and innocence makes her sympathetic and likable. All of these characters share one similar trait, and that they're presented as people. Deep and complex people who change and grow.
I know you will. I know it. So please be
Animation is an obvious positive about this movie. The detail in each frame is astounding in the variety of locations shown. The lighting is unlike any other anime I've seen, and the bright colors are an amazing sight. My only gripe is that the simple character designs are a bit of a glaring contrast with the ultra-detailed backgrounds, but apart from that, nothing. This is hands down one of the best looking movies that has ever been created, and it's worth seeing it just for this feature alone. I really can't emphasize enough how good this movie looks. Sound is good as well. The score consists mostly of piano, violin, and classical music, which suits the various tones that happen throughout. However, some are a bit forgetful. They are used sparingly and are only applied when it's necessary. Most of the time, ambient noise will be used, and the sound effects all match up and do not break the immersion. The final song, though, was incredible. It encapsulates the feeling and the tone in one well-composed guitar piece and sticks in my mind even to this very moment. In discussion of if you should go for sub or dub, it's a hard one. Both are good, with Kenji Mitsuhashi and Johnny Young Bosch playing a similar Takaki. Yoshimi Kondo plays a good Akari, seeing as this has been her only voice acting role that I can find, with Hilary Hack giving off a similar yet good performance. My only problem, and this applies to both options, is that the narration has this constant light and wispy tone to it. I understand why this is done in order to reflect the mood of the characters looking back on their past, but seeing as their delivery of actual dialogue is quite similar, it would have offered some variety if the narration had different tones to it, showing off more of the characters that we couldn't see throughout interaction. Overall, 5 centimeters per second is a great movie. It isn't very long, so I really don't have a lot to talk about without giving away every aspect, but that doesn't mean that the simple, yet realistic and emotional story or the characters don't offer any impact. Even though I had a few problems with some of the delivery and the character designs, that doesn't negate all the great points that it has. This is a story about people and life that anyone can relate to, and on top of astounding animation, this is a must-buy. If this review intrigued you, or if you wanted a more grounded version of Makoto Shinkai's other films, then I recommend it. I give 5 centimeters per second a 9.5 out of 10. いつでも探しているよどっかに君の姿を向かいのホーム路地裏の窓こんなとこにいるはずもないのに願いがもしも叶うなら今すぐ君のもとへできないことはもう何もない全てかけて抱きしめてみせる